a Hindu editorial analysis for proficiency in English. Today's editorial is about the US policy towards Israel and the war between Israel and the Hamas. It talks about the double standards or contradictory stand taken by the US administration. And besides, already we have done a few editorials, but today's editorial, a lot of important words are there. It takes a lot of time to cover the vocabulary part. You can learn a lot. Besides that, today's editorial is a lengthy editorial. It may take more time. Let us start with what is the enrichment. As usual, you will improve your comprehension skill. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. You will improve your vocabulary today, especially. Many important words are there. Grammar consolidation, effective English. Many marks I doubt because of the time factor. The last slide also, the other day we ran out of time. I doubt. Let us start with the question, what is this editorial about? This editorial discusses the United States policy. As I said, it is about US policy towards a conflict between Israel and Gaza, particularly focusing on President Joe Biden's approach. The editor does not approve Joe Biden's approach. What is the tone based on that? The tone of the editorial is a critical and somewhat accusatory. Already we have got the word accuse many a time. Accuse verb form, accusation noun form. Another word you have to recollect, allege, allegation. Say someone has done something wrong but no evidence as such. Let us go to editorial vocabulary. I may do a bit fast because we have to cover a lot of words. The very first one, unleash. Generally, the word leash goes with dogs. To hold a dog, to control a dog, to tie a dog to something, we use a leash. And here, unleash. But leash as such is a noun. Here, unleash is a verb. Leash can be a verb also, but unleash a verb. To release or set free. Typically something powerful or intense. Usually it goes with unfettered, good. Usually it goes with animals, tying and releasing. But in this context, something powerful. All youngsters, those who are watching and those who are preparing for competitive exams, you have a lot of potential. You have innate talent, hidden talent. Based on that, usually I tell the youngsters, unleash your potential. This is an expression you have to remember. You all have a lot of potential. For you guys, if you are really serious, sky is the limit. All that you have to do, unleash the potential, bring out the potential. What are the synonyms? Release, simple word. Let loose, you have to remember the expressions. Set loose, let loose, important. Free, liberate, simple words. Antonyms, restrain, we have got many a time. Confine, important word. Inhibit, important word. Suppress, also important. Generally, what happens when it comes to restrain, you have to recollect another word, refrain. Two words rather, abstain. All these words take the preposition from. Refrain from, abstain from, keep away from, not to indulge in something. That you have to recollect. Confine means restrict. That is also, we have got many a time. Inhibit. Generally, we use the word in the noun form. What is the noun form? Inhibitions. We have a lot of inhibitions, means apprehensions, fears, because of the shyness factor. Because of inhibitions, we don't express ourselves freely. Inhibitions, an important word. Suppress, hold, withhold. And when based on the word suppress, sometimes what happens, a lot of people, they cannot express their ideas or they cannot bring out their emotions, they try to suppress, then it results in something what we call, important expression, pent up emotions. Pent up emotions means suppressed emotions, an important expression, pent up emotions. Pent up emotions are very dangerous. If you keep all the emotions inside, it is not advisable. Pent up emotions are always dangerous. And withhold a simple word. Look at the example. The new policy threatens to unleash chaos in the market. A new policy results in a total confusion in the market. Then we say chaotic situation. Chaos, noun, chaotic, adjective. An important word that also we have got many a time. Rage, part of speech, can be a noun, can be a verb. What does it mean? A lot of anger. You're very angry. Then we use the word rage, meaning violent, uncontrollable anger. What are the synonyms? Fury, an important word. Wrath, we have got already important word. Simple, outrage, important word. Ire, important word. All these words you have to have at your fingertips. For that, you got to spend some time after the session. And here, fury, wrath, outrage, ire. Opposite words are simple words. Antonyms, calmness. Last, I think I have already given the word serene, tranquil. Serenity, noun form. Tranquility, noun form. Serene, tranquil, adjective forms. Important words we have got, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday. Contentment has a different meaning. It means what? To be happy. You are happy with what you have. Then we say contentment. It doesn't go with this group. What is the example? The crowd erupted in rage after the controversial decision was announced. Was announced a past tense passive voice. Erupted in rage means they became very angry. Casualties. Whenever we talk about accidents, war, natural disaster, mishap, or catastrophe, we come across the word casualties. Part of speech, noun. People killed or injured in a war, accident, or disaster, as I've just said. Synonyms, victims, fatalities. From the word fatalities, actually, it comes from the word fatal. Fatal accident, fatal disease, causing death. Losses, wounded, dead, simple words. Antonyms, survivors, unharmed, unscathed, an important word. Untouched, same thing. But that word you have to remember. Look at the example. The earthquake resulted in numerous casualties. As I said, a typical, when you read the newspapers, whenever they write about a natural disaster or whenever they write about a major accident, they use the word casualties. War also, we use that word. Vow, part of speech, verb, a solemn promise or pledge. But pledge has two or three different meanings. What are the synonyms? Promise, pledge, oath, commitment, covenant, an important word. Antonyms, break, renounce does not go with renounce, abandon, they go with other contexts. Renounce goes with property, and abandon goes with things and also people. Imagine someone is in troubles, hardships, the family does not help. Then we say she has been abandoned by her family, or he has been abandoned by his family. And it goes with things. Imagine you go to a village where there's no mechanic and some your vehicle broke down. Then you abandon the vehicle and you go back to your town or city. Two different examples. Refuge. We have got the word refugee many a time. Ah, deserted. Very good, Vijay Lakshmi. I appreciate that. She has been deserted by her family. And refugee, it goes with persons. A refuge, a place, shelter. Both are nouns. Shelter or protection from danger or distress. Distress means being worried, anxious, and in a bad shape or state. Synonyms, sanctuary, not exactly, but a shelter, yes. Haven, important word. Asylum, important word. Not exactly retreat. But haven, if you read the newspapers again, you come across that word. It goes with, haven goes with, it takes a preposition for. Haven for drug addicts, one combination. Haven for terrorists. Another combination. When it comes to the word asylum, we have got many a time. Asylum has two different meanings. Imagine there's a political turmoil in a particular country. Turmoil means disturbance, chaotic situation. The people of that country go to some other country as refugees, and that country provides shelter that is known as asylum. Asylum means a political shelter, one meaning. But asylum also means place for lunatics. Lunatics means a mad people. In our country, we say mental hospital. It sounds very harsh, in fact. Western countries, they don't say mental hospital, they say asylum. Second meaning, a place for lunatics. And when we try to say something harsh in a nice way, there is one important word. It has been given many a time in different competitive exams. What is that word? Euphemism. Euphemism means saying something harsh in a nice way. Important word you have to remember. If I say he died, it sounds very harsh. But for that, I can say he passed away. He passed away sounds better. That is euphemism. Peril already we have got, but important word. A risk exposure. The refugees sought refuge. Refugees, persons, sought refuge, shelter in neighboring countries. The next word we have got many a time, not a phrasal verb, adjective. Vulnerable situation, vulnerable people. Susceptible to physical or emotional harm or attack. In a nutshell, prone to. To be in a weak situation where there's every possibility someone exploiting your situation. Synonyms defenseless, susceptible, an important word, exposed, at risk, fragile. Actually, fragile does not go with this context. Weak also you can say. I appreciate your contribution. Please do that. Vijay Lakshmi, Vamsi, wonderful. Fragile means delicate. But here you have to recollect another word, brittle. Brittle, fragile. Fragile means weak. Frail also, we got the other day. Very good, Vijay Lakshmi. Frail. And fragile voice, weak voice. Fragile old man, weak old man. Brittle goes with eggshells and glass, easily breakable. Eggshells are brittle, glass is brittle. Difference you have to know when it comes to usage. Look at the antonyms: invulnerable, protected, resilient, strong. Resilient, we have got many a time. Example: the elderly are particularly vulnerable to the flu. The flu. This immediately you have to become alert and recollect an important rule. What is that rule? Before some diseases, we have to use a definite article the. Many exams in the past they gave, first example, the plague. Second one used here, the flu. Nowadays are giving the measles, important. The mumps, the rickets. All these you have to recollect. The flu, the plague, the mumps, the measles, the rickets. Before these five diseases, we have to use a definite article the. The elderly are particularly vulnerable to the flu. The next word, relentless, part of speech adjective. This word goes with you guys. While preparing for competitive exams, you have to put in relentless efforts, means continuous, persistent, without stopping, without giving up, meaning unyielding or persistent, especially in pursuit of something, in pursuit of your dream. If you want your dream to come true, you have to put in relentless efforts. Now, steadfast also you can say, and restless, unstoppable, persistent, determined, relentless, constant. Antonyms: yielding, lenient. Lenient goes with rules and regulations. Intermittent, sporadic, they go with rains and incidents. Sporadic means scattered, on and off, intermittent. Not relevant here in the real sense, but what is the opposite? Lenient, stringent, strict. When it comes to rules and regulations, someone is strict and stringent. Opposite, lenient. And those two you have to recollect. One important word here, the word yield, usually positive. When it goes with, usually it goes with agriculture, crops, positive meaning. But the same word yield can be negative. As a negative word, it means to surrender. And there's one important phrasal verb you have to recollect, given. Given means surrender. These are very important. Yield, positive, negative. Negative to surrender, to give in. Look at the example. The detective was relentless in his pursuit of the truth. Students should be relentless in their pursuit of ambition or the dream job. I hope you all agree. Yes or no? Good morning. Next one, hostage. Hostage crisis, one combination you have to know. What does it mean? A person seized or held as security for fulfillment of a condition. This goes with, thanks for responding. I appreciate that. A plane has been hijacked and the passengers are taken as hostages. And those who have hijacked the plane, they demand something. They want something to be fulfilled. In that context, we use the word hostage. And captive, prisoner, hostage, detainee, inmate. Inmate goes with prison. It also goes with hospital, usually prison. And detain someone, the person who has been detained, detainee, important word. Got repeated, same word. Captive. Captive breeding, one important expression you have to know. Captive breeding. Captive means to confine, to hold someone, to keep someone, to restrict someone's movements. And what is this captive breeding? It goes with animals. Imagine a particular animal kept in zoo. When it is in the zoo, it bred, it gave birth to babies. Then it, after mating, obviously, after breeding, then we use the expression captive breeding. That is an important expression. Antonyms: free, liberated, released. Simple words. The terrorists held several hostages in the bank robbery. In this context, you have to recollect, this is one context. Kidnap. The one who kidnaps demands money. What is the word for that? A ransom. When someone demands a kid, they want some amount to release the kid. What is the word for that amount? A ransom. But here you have to know something very interesting. Stockholm syndrome. Have you guys heard of this? Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome means, imagine, thank you very much. Who is this? Ramakrishna. I appreciate that. Imagine a girl has been kidnapped. After 10 or 15 days, after some time, the girl starts loving the kidnapper. Why? That's $1 million question. We are not worried about that, bothered about that. But when the one who gets kidnapped falls in love with the kidnapper, that is known as Stockholm syndrome. An important expression you have to remember. Have you heard of that any time? Stockholm syndrome. The one who got kidnapped falls in love with the kidnapper. Retaliate goes with everyday English, part of speech verb, to respond to an attack or injury by counter-attacking. Someone attacks you and you attack them back. Retaliation. Revenge, avenge, two important words because they come under reflexive verbs. Reflexive verbs If there is no object, we have to use a reflexive pronoun. Important rule you have to recollect. Strike back, simple, retaliate, same word. Reciprocate does not go with this context. You may ask, sir, why? Certain words have positive connotation, certain words have negative connotation. Retaliate, negative. Reciprocate, positive. I wish you, you wish me back. That means you have reciprocated. It goes with a positive context. And what are the antonyms? Forgive, pardon, tolerate. The last word, acquiesce, important word. You have to spend some time to remember. Vengeance also you can say. Very good. Example, the country vowed to retaliate against the enemy's aggression, aggressive behavior, aggression. Flaw. Flaw means a mistake, something that is not perfect, a defect or imperfection, a weakness. Synonyms defect, imperfection, fault, blemish. But English is a strange language in the sense, though all these words come under synonyms, when it comes to usage, they go with different contexts. If you take the word blemish, means something like a spot. There are two combinations you have to know. One is blemishless skin. Second one, blemishless character. When you see some people's face, the skin, not even one spot, what do you say? Blemishless skin. And some people, character wise, no flaw at all. What do you say? Blemishless character. And what are the antonyms? Perfection, strength, asset, advantage. Despite his talents, his perfectionism often leads him to focus on every flaw. In fact, there is a saying in English. What is it? Perfectionism is like paralysis. Paralysis, you cannot do anything. Every time you think of perfectionism, it is like paralysis. You got to be a little flexible. And here I would like to tell about two combinations based on the word flaw. Some people speak perfect English without any mistakes. What do you say that time? Flawless English. You can also use the word impeccable. There are two expressions. Someone speaks English without any mistakes. He speaks flawless English or he speaks impeccable English. These two are very important expressions you have to remember and you should try to get that. Preach. I teach English. I am called a teacher. Someone teaches religion. That person is called a preacher. Preach, part of speech verb, to publicly proclaim or teach, more than proclaim, teach. A religious message or belief. As I said, teaching goes with subjects and preaching goes with religion. What are the synonyms? Advocate, promote, proclaim, repeated, exhort. Two words are important here. Three words rather. Proclaim means to announce publicly something, a different connotation. Denounce, condemn, oppose, discourage. Not exactly opposite words, but you can consider this is an important word. Condemn, also an important word. Other words are easy words. The priest preached about compassion and forgiveness. Compassion means what? Declaration, publicly stating something. That is nothing but declaration. Very good, Ramakrishna. I appreciate that. Compassion, being kind towards others. Forgiveness, accepting others' mistakes. The next word, indiscriminate. The word indiscriminate goes with killings. First, shooting. Nowadays, terrorist act. And also killing. Indiscriminate killing. Indiscriminate shooting. Means at random, not systematic. Look at the meaning. Done at random or without careful selection. Synonyms, random, simple word, haphazard, important word you have to remember. Arbitrary, infatigable, different. That means without getting exhausted. That has a different connotation. Who is this Shankar? Indefatigable. Fatigue means to get exhausted. That word comes from fatigue. Fatigue means to get tired, to get exhausted. And that goes with a different context altogether. Exactly. The key word is a tire, getting tired. Arbitrary, important word. Indiscriminate, unselective, simple words. Arbitrary, you have to recollect one important idiom. What is that? Two words. First, the word whims, then whims and fancies. Some people, they take decisions spontaneously without thinking. Then we say the decision has been taken based on his whims and fancies. The other one, my pleasure, Shankar. The other one, they think a lot, then they take a decision. Important expression, idiom rather. Antonyms selective, specific, targeted, discriminate. Look at the example. The bombing resulted in indiscriminate destruction of both military and civilian targets. Here we have a new combination: indiscriminate shooting, indiscriminate killing, indiscriminate destruction. Always catch the combinations. When it comes to close test, that knowledge helps a lot. What is the next word? We have got this for the first time. Intransigence. Have you heard of this any time? Intransigence, participation noun, refusal to change one's views or to agree about something. That is nothing but being stubborn, stubbornness, inflexibility, rigidity. But this word is important. We all know the word rigid, stubborn. No, that's a new word. Adamant. Very good, Vijayalakshmi. Adamant. I was about to write. I appreciate you guys are doing value addition. That's really good. Not expected. Keep doing that. Adamant. And the other day I gave stubborn goes with kids. It also goes with donkeys. Kids don't listen to us. Whatever they want, they insist. Stubborn behavior. Donkeys also don't listen. Stubborn behavior. Donkeys cannot be, we cannot make a donkey do something. Here, another word, obstinate. Obstinate, from that you get this word. That's also an important word. Antonyms, flexibility, compromise, accommodation, cooperation. Look at the example. Despite numerous attempts at negotiation, the intransigence of both parties led to a stalemate. Stalemate goes with which sport? Deadlock. Stalemate goes with chess. There's a deadlock, then we say stalemate. That is also an important word. This is what I was waiting for. We have chess, very good, immediate answer, Vijayalakshmi. Genocide. See, in English, what happens, we have about 8 lakh words. From the exam point of view, and you'll be shocked and surprised to know, a typical English man or woman knows only 20,000 words. An intellectual knows about 40,000 words, maximum 50,000. That means they themselves don't know about 7,50,000 words because it's an ocean. Exam point of view, you have to learn about 10,000 effective words. And what are the strategies to enrich your word power? One, I talk about offline classes, online classes. I tell students you have to create the word profiles, you have to create word maps. And according to one survey, if you learn words with the help of roots, prefixes, suffixes, that will help in the long run. And if you learn about 100 roots, prefixes, suffixes, you can unlock the meanings of 1 lakh words. Extremely useful approach. Try to enrich your word power with the help of roots, prefixes, suffixes. The best book for that, Norman Lewis, Word Power Made Easy. Thank you very much. Who is this? Ramakrishna. Thank you very much. Nice of you. And here, genocide. What is the suffix here, side? I will tell you why the survey says is a very useful approach. Side means what? To kill. Based on that one shot, you can learn a lot of words. Patricide, killing one's father. Matricide, killing one's mother. Fratricide, these have been given many a time. Fratricide, mind you guys, killing one's brother or sister, we use the same word, fratricide. Killing the baby. what do you call infanticide? Killing the baby in the mother's womb, what do you call it? Feticide. And one person kills another person, what is that called? Homicide. We have so many words based on the suffix side. And if you take the approach, learn with the help of roots, prefixes, suffixes, obviously, you can learn a lot of words within no time. One advantage, time factor. Second, easy to remember. Tomorrow in the exam, you come across a word, a new word, but the suffix is a side. At least you can guess. You can unlock the meaning based on the suffix. Try to take this approach. Mark my words, very useful. Coming to this word genocide, the deliberate killing of a large group of people, especially those of a particular ethnic group. Generally, I give the meaning killing people of a particular race or a particular community. There are two things you have to remember. When people of a particular race or community killed, we use the word genocide. Synonyms already someone has written: massacre, that is nothing but mass murder; ethnic cleansing, important expression; holocaust, important expression; extermination, also important. Massacre, they have given many a time bank exams. To kill people brutally, a large number of people, then we use the word massacre. They have been massacred. And when it comes to race or neighbors, I don't have any idea regarding that. Who is this? Ramalingaya, I have no idea. Killing one's neighbor? No one has ever asked me that question. To be candid, to be frank, I don't know. I'll try to find out and let you know. What are the antonyms? None. No antonyms for this. And look at the example. The international community condemned the genocide in the region and called for immediate action. Call for means demand, demanded immediate action. We have bankroll, though an easy one I have brought because you people, prospective bankers, you should know this. Bankroll, generally we don't use, we use the word sponsor, financial support. Here, bankroll, same meaning, to provide the money for a project or enterprise. Finance, fund, sponsor, back support. We know these words, but rarely we use bankroll. Antonyms: divest, an important word; disinvest, simple; withdraw support, simple. What is the example? The wealthy entrepreneur decided to bankroll the startup. This you have to remember. Bankroll the startup means what? Sponsor, provide financial support to the startup. Have you ever heard of this bankroll? I haven't heard, to be candid with you people. Debilitate, another important word. It means to make someone a weak, to weaken someone or something. Weaken or make feeble. Feeble also means a weak, feeble voice, feeble old person, fragile, feeble. In a way, go hand in hand. What are the synonyms? Weaken, enfeeble, undermine, already we have got last week, I suppose. Impair, we have got. Cripple, an important word, though it goes with everyday English. That is not in lexicography. No, we cannot be so sure. We have to check. Always remember, it's an ocean. On the spot, spontaneously, I cannot say there's no word like that. After checking, I can confirm. Here, cripple, you have to know something. Cripple means to lose the functionality, bolster, encourage, strengthen, support. Imagine someone met with an accident. After the accident, could not use his legs, could not walk properly. Then we say, after the accident, he became a cripple. And cripple can be physical, can be mental. Someone experiences a shock, then he becomes mental cripple. They lose that balance, paralyzed. Very good, Vijay Lakshmi. We can say that. What are the opposite words? Strengthen, fortify, invigorate, an important word. Empower has a different connotation. Today we talk about empowerment of women. That goes with a different context. What is the example? The illness debilitated him to the point where he could barely walk. Barely walk, hardly walk. An important phrase you have to remember. He could barely speak, he could barely walk, he could barely run. And here, walk, I would like to tell about a common error. Usually, we ask the question, how do you come? A standard answer, I come by walk. Never say by walk, that is not correct. By walk, wrong. Never say I come by walk. For that, we have two patterns. One, I come on foot. One expression you have to use. Or I come walking. Both are correct. Many students know the first one. I come on foot. Huh, that's what Lakshmi has responded immediately. A lot of students know I come on foot. Perfect. Flawless. But do remember there's another pattern. You can also say, I come walking. How do you come? I come on foot. I come walking. Both are absolutely right. No one can question. But never say by walk. Fragile, I think we have already got easily broken or damaged, delicate. Synonyms delicate, breakable, frail, someone has mentioned. Brittle, I have already written. Vulnerable, we have got as a word. What are the opposite words or antonyms? Strong, sturdy. Sturdy, robust, resilient, you have to know. Resilient, we have got so many times. Handle the glassware with care, it is very fragile. A typical example, fragile goes with, you see the labels also. Fragile, glassware, handle with care. Sully, the last word, I suppose. Ah, yes. See, so many words. I have spent almost 37 minutes. Sully, part of speech verb. To tarnish. Tarnish means damage or spoil. The purity or integrity of something. In this context, it talks about someone's image getting spoiled. Someone's defame. Very good. Damage the purity or integrity, but reputation. Tarnish, stain, defile, pollute. This is an important word you have to remember. Opposite, clean, purify, enhance, elevate. But enhance, elevate, they go with other contexts. Example, the scandal sullied his reputation in the community. That means his image has taken a beating. There's an important expression. Someone's image, someone's reputation gets tarnished. We also say his image has taken a beating. Image has taken a beating means he lost his reputation. That's all about the words. So many words, almost 40 minutes I had to spend. Now let us go to the editorial. How does it start? What is there to learn? Stimulus. What is a stimulus? The war between Hamas and Israel has been going on for the last 8 months. That's too long a period. And here we have the superpower, the US. It's all about the US policy towards Israel and Gaza. That is a stimulus. Policy mismatch. You all know the word mismatch, but there's one important phrasal verb you have to know. Go with. Go with means match. You can say it's a mismatch. You can also say it doesn't go with that one. Go with something, go with someone means match someone or something. What is a mismatch here? Policy. Policy of which country? On the US and Israel policy. What is the main idea of this editorial? The US must not arm Israel while asking it to halt Gaza strikes. This is something like ironical, paradoxical. On the one hand, the US asked Israel to stop the war. On the other hand, it supplies arms to Israel. They're quite contradictory. Based on that, the US must not. What is the function of the helping verb must? Two functions. One, it is used to express a personal obligation or obligation imposed by the speaker, in this context, editorial. And second one, to convey the idea something is compulsory. The US must not arm Israel, must not supply arms to Israel while asking Israel to stop the war, while asking it to halt. Halt means stop Gaza strikes. When the Israel-Hamas war began on October 7th, the immediate priority of United States President Joe Biden was to prevent the conflict from widening into a regional war involving Israel and its rivals. The first priority for Joe Biden's administration when Hamas attacked where 1,200 innocent people got killed to confine the conflict to that particular area, to see that it did not spread across the region. It talks about that. When the Israel Hamas war began on October 7th, the immediate priority of United States President Joe Biden was to prevent the conflict from widening into a regional war involving Israel and its rivals. For that, what was the approach? Arm means to provide weapons. Arm means to provide, to supply weapons. US has been supplying weapons to Israel. I hope you got the meaning. Who is this Subaya? Mr. Biden adopted, for this, Mr. Biden adopted a twofold strategy. Two pronged strategy, also, you can say. Exactly. Anand has responded. He offered unconditional support for Israel's war on Gaza, launched after Hamas's attack on October 7th, in which at least 1,200 people were killed. Were killed, past tense, passive voice. My pleasure. And unleashed a diplomatic effort to keep tensions low between Tel Aviv and its neighbors. Two pronged. One, he offered unconditional support to Israel. That is one. Second, he unleashed a diplomatic effort to keep tensions low, to make sure nothing got aggravated. But when the war raged on for months, now I think 8 months, but when the war raged on for months with huge civilian casualties in Gaza, the Biden policy started falling apart. The policy of keeping the tensions low, the policy of supporting Israel started falling apart, means started losing its importance or started experiencing something negative. Today, as the war is set to enter its eighth month, this is what I was talking about. 8 long months war. Imagine how many innocent people get killed. Today, as the war is set to enter its eighth month, Mr. Biden looks increasingly vulnerable, means weak position to its regional and domestic consequences. Over 34,000 people, a vast majority of them women and children, have been killed. Present perfect passive voice by the Israeli Defense Forces in Gaza. Israel was to invade Rafah, the southernmost town in Gaza, where more than 1.4 million Palestinians have taken refuge. Have taken refuge, present perfect active voice. Despite Mr. Biden's warning against such a move, with Houthi attacks on ships in the Red Sea end. It talks about what was the stand taken by Biden and what is the stand taken by Israel. Israel wants to attack Rafah. Last time also I did one editorial, but the US doesn't want that. The entire world doesn't want that to happen. The place is where 1.4 million Palestinians are. They have taken refuge, shelter over there. If at all Israel attacks that region, the casualties will be unimaginable. The world doesn't want that to happen. Attacks on ships in the Red Sea and strikes and counterstrikes between Israel and Iran. The conflict has already spread beyond the borders of Palestinian territories, and Israel, through a full scale regional war, has been avoided so far. Though initially it was between Hamas and Israel, now it has gone beyond that. Iran has got into the framework. It talks about how the conflict has been spreading. It hasn't spread to a large extent based on the word though. All these things, the conflict has already spread beyond the borders of Palestinian territories and Israel, though a full scale regional war has been avoided so far. Full scale regional war has been avoided, fortunately, has been avoided, present perfect passive voice. The conflict has triggered massive protests by university students in the US, piling up pressure on Mr. Biden to reconsider his policy towards Israel. I don't know how many of you know, right now in the US, at many universities, the students started protesting regarding the policy of the US towards Israel. A lot of protests are being taken, and many students are getting arrested. And based on that, a lot of pressure on the president of the US. Pressure piling up pressure on Mr. Biden to reconsider his policy towards Israel. To their credit, Biden officials have been working relentlessly to achieve a ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. Biden officials have been recently Columbia University, very good, Anand, I appreciate that, your contribution. Have been working, an important expression, which tense is that try to respond. I have been teaching since 9. You have been listening to me since 9 a.m. Which tense is that? Have been teaching, have been learning, have been working. Present perfect continuous. What is the use of present perfect continuous? We use it to express an action that begins in the past, comes to the present, may go into future. I have been teaching since 9. I will teach till 10. It will go into future. Very good, Anand. Present perfect continuous an important tense. Relentlessly, without stopping, persistently to achieve a ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. Mr. Biden's timely response to shoot down the drones and missiles fired by Iran against Israel and his warning to the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, that the US would not join Israel's retaliation against Iran helped ease regional tensions. Biden administration has controlled the damage Iran tried to cause by shooting down drones and missiles fired by Iran. At the same time, it gave a warning to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying that it would not support the Prime Minister when it comes to this particular thing. If he tries to retaliate Iran's attack, US will not support. But his overall approach towards the crisis is flawed. Now you know the meaning of the word flaw. Flawed means what? Not perfect. Somewhere something is wrong. What is wrong? Quite obvious. On the one hand, the US says stop the war. On the other hand, it supplies arms to Israel. But this his overall approach towards the crisis is flawed. This is a statement. To substantiate the statement, the editorial has to provide us some information or some data, statistical data. The way Israel is carrying out its war on Gaza is against all the values America preaches about wars and human rights. America always talks about human rights, liberal ideas, human rights. It talks a lot about these. But whatever Israel is doing right now, it goes against all these American values. Sentence talks about that. The US kept supplying weapons to the Jewish nation. Who are the people in Israel? Jews. Jewish nation based on that. Even amid mounting allegations and evidence that Israel was indiscriminately bombing and destroying Gaza. They know Israel is doing it indiscriminately. Because of that, innocent kids, women are getting killed. In spite of the fact, the US has been supplying arms to Israel. Even when Mr. Biden seemed frustrated with Netanyahu's intransigence, stubbornness, he signed a bill offering 17 billion in defense aid to Israel. This is contradictory. Stop the war, but take the weapons, take the arms. Contradictory. Mr. Biden's words and diplomatic efforts for truce are actually not matched by strong actions to pressure Israel. That's what I've been talking about. Paradoxical, ironical, contradictory, contradicting oneself. I say stop the war and I provide the weapons, not acceptable. And by continuing to arm and bankroll Israel's genocidal war on Palestinians, Mr. Biden is debilitating his own moral arguments, weakening his own moral arguments about foreign policy. Not just morality, Mr. Biden's inability to rein in Israel. A rein in, important phrasal verb, means what? Control. Biden is not able to control Israel. His inability to rein in Israel is weakening America's standing in West Asia and sullying his already fragile candidacy in the US presidential elections in November. Already his image is not that strong in the US. Trump is becoming stronger day by day. And added to that, something like adding fire to the fuel, here, all this weakening America's standing in the West Asia, and sullying his already fragile candidacy in the US presidential elections in November. If the 81-year-old president is serious about peace in West Asia, he should. When do we use the helping verb should? It is used to advise or suggest someone, one function. The other one, it is used to express a possibility, but the chances are less. In this context, advise or suggest. He should first address the flaws in his policy towards Israel and Palestine. There were several examples of American president using hard pressure on Israel for peace. Editorial says, opines, even Joe Biden has to put a lot of pressure on Israel. Mr. Biden should at least show the courage to call for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and adopt policies including suspending arms sales to Israel to meet that goal. He has to be very firm. He has to put a lot of pressure on Israel. That is one thing. And the US has to stop supplying arms to Israel. I think it ends on that particular note. Yes. Let us go to it. Has taken almost 51 minutes, a lengthy editorial, and also a lot of words. If you can answer these five questions, I will be happy if you respond. Let us spend time only on questions based on the editorial to test your comprehension skill. Yes, Teja Shankar should suggest or advise. What is the primary criticism leveled against President Joe Biden in the editorial? His failure to offer unconditional support, his reluctance to intervene in the conflict, his inconsistency in matching words with actions regarding Israel Gaza conflict. Very good. Anand, first one, that is the answer. Oh, a lot of students have answered. Good, I appreciate that. According to the editorial, what has been the consequence of the US policy towards Israel and Gaza under President Joe Biden? Significant decrease in civilian casualties? No, the number has been going up. Increased stability and peace? Not at all. Erosion of America's moral standing and weakening of Biden's candidacy? Clearly mentioned. Second one also C. Question number 3. What suggestion does the editorial offer as a potential solution to the conflict in Gaza? What is the solution provided by the editorial? Providing more military? Not at all. Implementing economic sanctions? No. Suspending arms sales to Israel and calling for a permanent ceasefire. Both the factors have been mentioned in the editorial in a crystal clear manner. Explicit information. C is the answer. How does the editorial characterize President Biden's response to the conflict between Israel and Gaza? Swift and effective? No, there is no resolution. Inconsistent with strong words but weak actions? Hold this one. Non existent? No. Overbearing? No. What is the answer here? Only one word, inconsistent. No match between the words and actions. Words say something, actions do something else. B is the answer. The last question for today. According to the editorial, what impact does the US's policy towards Israel have on its standing in West Asia? West Asian region, what impact is it going to make? It strengthens America's influence? No. It has no effect? No. It weakens America's standing and credibility in the region. It weakens America's credibility. People don't believe because it says something, does something else. Answer C. It weakens America's standing and credibility in the region. That's all for today. I appreciate your response. All those who have responded, very good. And lack of time, I cannot go beyond this. Glad you have been with me till the end of the session. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. The Hindu does not publish the editorial on Sunday. I will see you guys on Monday and we'll go with this enrichment thing. Thank you very much.